Okay, I've decided I'm going to use this kid's book because it has a variety of fonts inside, both different styles. So like here are these, they're sort of outlined letters, but it also has different sizes. So here's really big. Here is not so big. There's some italics. There's some bold. So all of these letters here, I am going to cut out and then reconstruct the words with the different letters. I might be lucky and find one of the words I actually need printed out already in this book, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through the pages of this book, this children's book, and I am just going to find the letters I need, or if I can find the words, I will do that, and I will come back when I have all my letters cut out. Okay, I was able to go through that children's science book, and I was able to find a lot of these words. They're not glued down, so let me see if I can pick this up gently without totally messing up my placement. So I found the word if and part of the, I did not find the word, oops, there we go. I did not find, I'll leave that for now. I did not find the word equation in that science book, that kid's science book, but I did have a old math workbook. So I was able to find the whole word equation, but I could have just cut it out of individual letters like I did for fear, and the word would. This is a D that flipped over. I'm just going to leave it for now, and I'm going to be gluing these down. But I was able to find most of the words in that quote. This was my inspiration. If fear wasn't part of the equation, how would your life look different? So I was able to find most of those words. And for a couple of the words, the word fear and would, I did have to, and wasn't, I did have to cut individual letters. But the rest of the words I was able to find, so I just cut them out whole. And now I'm just simply going to glue them down here on this page. So I just have a plain old glue stick that I know will work in my dry, warm environment. This one has proven that it sticks for me. You use the glue stick that works where you live, though, in your environment. So when I'm doing letters, I just kind of stick them on that glue stick rather than using a glue catcher, you know, an old magazine. I tend to just kind of put them on the glue stick and smear them on there. So I'm just going to tediously glue these on, and you can be very precise and line them all up, or you can have them a little bit wonky. And you should know by now, I'm not a precisely lined up kind of person. So we know mine are going to look a little wonky. So I'm going to finish up gluing. Here I've got if fear. That's all glued down, but the rest are all loose and flopping around. So I'm going to finish gluing this down, but I won't make you watch me glue all these little words down and individual letters down. And I'll come back once it's all glued down, and we'll decide if these words are popping up off the page enough, or do we want to outline them, or, you know, if there's some other way we want to vary our design. But let me finish getting these glued, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Alrighty, so I've got this is all glued down now. If fear wasn't part of the equation, how would your life look different? One thing I want to bring to your attention, so I'm using a glue stick, which is a solid glue, but there is moisture in it. And I was pressing those letters down with my fingers. And because my fingers had some glue on them, when I pressed them down onto this watercolor, because watercolor is water reactive. Even after it's dry, it's water reactive unless you've sealed the page. I did get some bleed happening onto the tips of my fingers. And you can see on the word life, when I was pressing that word down, some of the paint that was on my fingers transferred onto that word there. So I just want to bring that to your attention. If you also are using glue stick and you're just using your fingers to press things down, that you may end up reacting the watercolor and getting it, depending on how neat and tidy or not you are, it may end up being on your letters as well. So one thing that I was using at one point was I have this awl, and so after I had gotten the word glue on my glue stick, then I would use this little awl to kind of scooch the word. I would like scooch it into place this way. You could also, if you have like little tweezers, you could put your words down with tweezers, and that would also help alleviate this paint smearing on your fingers. Or you can be like me and say this is all part of the process, and if fear wasn't part of the equation, I wouldn't care if that got paint on there, because I wouldn't be worried about being perfect. So that's how I'm going to interpret this. I'm going to use that as part of my message to myself, that perfection is really just fear in disguise, and I'm not choosing, for me, I should say for me, perfection is just fear in disguise, and I am not choosing to support perfectionism in my life. I am choosing to be okay with not being perfect. So for me, this page is finished. If you wanted to have these words stand out more, you could outline each word like with a black fine line pen or marker, and I may come back and do that. I'll live with this page for a while and see if I want these words to stand out more boldly. And if I do, I have this little pen which I just love. This is a Sharpie. This is what it looks like, and it has this is a permanent pen, but it has a really tiny nib. So let me outline one of these words just so you can see what it would look like. How about that? So I'm going to outline this word part. So I'm just going right up next to the paper and just outlining. Like right now, looking at that already, I can tell that I like the emphasis that that black outline puts on there. So, but that's how tiny and fine of a pen it is. I really love it. So let me show you again. Sharpie. It's skinny, and it has a really fine line. And the other thing I really love about this pen is it tends not to bleed. When you've drawn on one side of the paper, especially thinner paper, it tends not to bleed to the back side of your paper. And I really like that in a pen. So again, that's just one of my favorites that I'll use. So I think from seeing this outlined, I'm deciding I like that. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to outline all these words, and then I will come back on again so you can see what it looks like now. Okay, and I can tell that the outlining, even from this far away, I can tell that that's making those words and letters pop more off of the page. Let me bring it up so you can see. And what I did is I took advantage of that permanent little pen and made my apostrophe between my N and my T for wasn't. If fear wasn't part of the equation, how would your life look different? Okay, first page in this Heart and Soul Keeper is all done.